Let's talk about the race winner a little bit more because he certainly deserves it. Connor Zilisch. And Brandon, I've often joked when we talk about prospects these days that they're the next Jeff Gordon, right? Because the next Jeff Gordon or the next Jimmy Johnson, I think that phrase has been thrown out. I mean, as early as Casey Atwood, right? They called Casey Atwood the next Jeff Gordon. That was a lot of pressure to put on him at the time. Ultimately, his career didn't pan out like many people expected it to. Although he did have some modest success, he certainly didn't come anywhere close to accomplishing what Jeff Gordon was able to accomplish in his career. But if you look at somebody like Connor Zilisch, who's absolutely dominated ARCA this year, we've said he's too good for ARCA on this show and on social media. I joked on Saturday that he might be too good for Xfinity because in his debut race here, he won pole, won the race, and we'll throw the ARCA results up here as well. This shouldn't be much of a surprise at all. He's won almost every ARCA race he's competed in his young career. Is Connor Zilisch perhaps actually the next Jeff Gordon? Can we justify that level of hype? Kobe Lambeth called him our Kimi Antonelli. Is that an apt comparison perhaps here when we look at the talent that Connor Zilisch has displayed already, just 18 years old?
I mean, there's one thing I know about him. He's got the road courses down. He's that art of racing. He is a certified natural. He's only 18. And he just won his debut Xfinity Series race at Watkins Glen. Doubled down with it with the ARCA win as well. I mean, plenty of more experience before that. Part of the team that won the 24 Hours of Daytona this year.
Yeah.
I mean, his resume is just building and building and building. And Jeff Gordon was sort of the same way. You know, he moved. His family moved him from California to Indiana just so he could be in the sprint car world, and just a natural, a young phenom. All he needs left is a mustache. We'll get him working on that. There's certainly no keeping him from being the next Jeff Gordon, and we do throw that name out a lot, but actually, he's got a shot, and I don't think people would be upset with that coming true. I just hope with these newer young phenoms that are coming through, maybe we can get one that is not a villain. You know, maybe not as bold and brash, maybe a little more respect. So maybe to influence some of the other rookie classes coming in of, hey, we don't have to be a jerk to win championships. You know, maybe we can get someone like that.
Well, let me just roll through some of these results here. You mentioned Daytona, Brandon. Class wins in LMP2 in IMSA this year at Daytona and Sebring. So that's impressive enough right off the bat. In the ARCA Menard Series, he probably should have won at the Glen last year. Finished second in his ARCA debut with a broken sway bar, and only at the very last turn on the last lap did he get passed by Jesse Love. Since then, his ARCA results in 2024, first, second, first at the Glen this past weekend as well. In the ARCA Menard Series East, where he's on track to take the championship on Thursday night at Bristol, fourth, first, third, first, second through 7 races here. Just so many firsts, I'm almost losing track of how many times I'm saying it here. But he just has to go out. I mean, William Sawalich has been impressive as well, but he had a DNF at Dover earlier this season. So as long as Zilisch doesn't return the favor and have an issue of his own here this weekend at Bristol, he just has to survive. He'll be the ARCA East champion here in 2024. In his Truck Series debut, he sat on pole at Circuit of the Americas, was in contention to win that race. Again, kind of got shuffled up and down the field all day. Certainly a lot of chaos in that race, but still came home to finish 4th. And then here in the Xfinity Series this past weekend, taking the pole at the Glen, leading the most laps, winning the race despite all the chaos of the multiple overtime sessions here this past weekend. So you can't say enough about how impressive he has been almost every time he's gotten behind the wheel of a stock car this year. He did have the issue in the truck race, Richmond, that left him 29th, but that's an anomaly when you compare it to the rest of his results in ARCA and his debut performances on the road courses at COTA and Trucks and at the Glen and Xfinity. I think there's certainly reason to be very high on this kid in terms of his talent and potential. And I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do in the Xfinity Series next year. And I hope that when he graduates from the ARCA level, and William Sawalich will do the same, hopefully we can get the ARCA Menard Series back to the point where it's not the 28 and 18 finishing 1-2 every weekend here. Because again, think you look at these results, not much of a surprise seeing these two names up front here once again.
With the talent and the money floating around, someone's going to fill their shoes and do the exact same thing, I'm afraid.
Well, I don't know, man. I'd like to see the Rev cars and the Venturini cars up there again. I think they can do
I'd like to as well, but I mean, who else is in the pipeline that's going to come up?
Well, we'll just have to wait and see. I hope Andres Perez can break through before the end of the year. He continue. I mean, again, almost feels like this is a winning class because, of course, the 28 and 18 are just in a whole nother different zip code here. Brandon Jones, of course, is an Xfinity Series regular. Perez looks like he's on his way to a championship. But again, we may not only have a winless champion in ARCA, we may not have a full-time winner at all when you look at the top 8 or 9 of the standings, however many it is that have run every race this year. So again, it's a very interesting dynamic. It's going to be an interesting dynamic the East finale of Bristol this week, given that it's, again, of course, a combo race with the main series.